Tuesday, December 15th, 2020, the heralded arrival. 5,850 doses of the COVID vaccine arriving today at the labs at DHR Health. 2 small boxes and hope.
Some folks probably thought it was not possible this quick.
This morning transferred quickly from the UPS delivery boxes to where they'll stay until they're given out. A highly sensitive vaccine with strict storage requirements.
I'm getting some people some hope after so many months, almost a year of just devastation, being scared, not being able to go out.
What's next? Get it organized and then get it out. This batch reserved for medical staff that work at DHR Health. The hospital has spent this time working out its delivery plan.
Folks in the pharmacy particularly preparing for months, even on folks that are going to be doing the injections. And so we had started to do that. So we've got people specifically to do that at particular stations, people to constitute the vaccine so that we can just rapidly deploy. Coming to signal the start of better times in the valley where thousands have died from the virus. A population fighting comorbidities, higher rates of diabetes, and complicating factors. An anticipated arrival in these boxes coming off a UPS truck, the Pfizer vaccine here at DHR Health, and put into the ultra-cool freezers for those first patients to receive their vaccine. Lab personnel who have the job of properly handling the sensitive vaccine, the cold temperatures, the need to work quickly. Timing is of the essence. You've got minutes, hours, not just whenever you want to use the vaccine.
The vaccines that'll go out to the hospital staff. And for the rest of us, it'll come.
After the first line of folks go through, people see that it's pretty safe and there's not any big issues, there's probably going to be a rush on the vaccine. At that point, there might be a slight rush. But certainly, I think that the FDA and folks at every level, including the state, the governor's office here, is doing everything possible to get the vaccine in the hands of the communities that need them and need them the most.
2 boxes bringing hope to a battered Hidalgo County. The distribution now begins.
Christian, that's right. Our starting point was Beto Drive right here in Mission, Texas. As we walk with Beto O'Rourke, as he goes through many houses in this community to encourage people to vote. How's it going?
It's going pretty good. You know, we've had a chance to talk to some voters. In fact, I just talked to a voter named Ralph who drove up to say hello. He had some good questions about what's at stake in this election, and it seemed like he hadn't fully made up his mind. And so I was very happy that I was here to be able to talk with him at a safe distance. We were 6 feet apart, but we still got to have that important conversation about how critical his vote is to ensure that Joe Biden can become the next president of the United States. Look, the Valley, as you know, is so often overlooked or taken for granted or neglected. To have Senator Kamala Harris come to the Valley today to ask for the votes of the people of the Valley, I cannot tell you, as a lifelong Texan and a lifelong fronterizo, somebody who's lived on the border his whole life, what that means to us.
Other followers from San Juan made the trip to find him and show support.
That's what it's going to take for us to win in Texas, and also when my hometown of El Paso, your hometown of San Juan, when we start voting in really high numbers, then candidates start coming to visit us because they want our vote and they know that we are critical in terms of deciding the outcome of these elections.
And his day is just beginning. He is also slated to appear at a Get Out and Vote event with Vice President candidate Kamala Harris later today. He also wants to remind people today is the last day for early voting. In Mission, Yuri Gonzalez, Channel 5 News at noon. That's right, Gabby. You said it. We've been here since 4 in the morning. We've been, taking a closer look, monitoring some of the effects that Hurricane Delta has had right here in South Padre Island. What has changed? Well, we've seen, this high tide. It's not as strong as this morning. However, it's still suggested and advised, for people to stay away from this area. We've seen many damages. What are some of the main damages? Well, the dunes have been, affected. Those barriers, especially past Axis 4, Axis 5. If we drive north, we can't get past Axis 4 because of that. Now, we've seen some of the erosion. We also spoke to some residents that live in the area. And again, they said that tide was so high, that it reached this concrete wall. So it's just so you can have an idea of how bad it is. Now, it's been really hard for me to just balance in this water. So imagine trying to take a walk or just a jog. It is impossible. Now, again, we did speak to the director of the shoreline director this morning, and she says that they have been preparing for days because they knew that this high tide would have an impact right here.
I can't stress enough how important our dunes are. So we did lose a lot, but it's great to see that they were doing their job, what they're supposed to do. They're there to protect the island, to protect all the properties.
Again, we're just outside of Clayton's Pier. Many people know this area. We know that usually what we see here is sand. That sand, well, it's no longer here. We can see a lot of the debris that's been accumulated in this area. And we can also see this sand. And of course, these are just barriers to make sure that high tide doesn't go into the street, into these apartments, and into other businesses in the area. We will continue to track and monitor what's happening right here in the island. Yuri Gonzalez, Channel 5 News at noon.
A clean start is what a family of 6, 3 adults and 3 young kids, needed after Hurricane Hannah ripped through their mobile home. The family too emotional to speak about their experience, but they let us come see for ourselves.
She lost everything. We got a whole family here with children here, so it was very overwhelming to see all the damage that was done here to the home, but a blessing to see that the family was safe.
Tamika Ramirez and her team are here helping with the cleanup process that would have been impossible for the family to handle alone.
So now that I'm getting closer to this is actually an entire trailer.
This is their entire home. This was their entire home. This whole thing was their entire home. This whole thing was demolished and damaged. It was leaning over. It was not safe to live in. That there is their wall still leaning against the tree there.
The volunteers helping out agreed to be interviewed, but on one condition.
That's how you earn your gray shirt.
I put on a hard hat and gloves. The way it works, the team is tearing down what is left of the home, keeping what can be used in a rebuild, and hauling the soaked wood, insulation, and ruined belongings to the street for trash pickup. The goal, to leave only a metal frame where their home once stood, so the family can rebuild.
People needed help. This is the third year in a row that I know of that we've been down in Rio Grande Valley.
Incident Commander Oscar Arruco explains, Team Rubicon is a veterans-based disaster service organization. 20 volunteers got here last Thursday and will be here until this Thursday. They hope to help as much as they can and are still looking for hard-hit areas.
We look to the county emergency manager. We look to Texas Department of Emergency Management. We look perhaps to the Red Cross or anyone else who might have a source.
Arruco adds their services are free, so if you are in need or know someone who is in need of their assistance, you can reach out to them online at teamrubiconusa.org. In Hidalgo County, John Paul Barajas, Channel 5 News, this morning.
We're by the Las Lomas El Chaparral subdivision entrances, and it's really a night and day difference from when we got here around 5:45, 6 a.m. Parts of Expressway 83, Military Road here, were covered by water, and then as the day went on, everything started receding into the neighborhood. And if you look this way, it's pretty much all gone now. But this is what it looked like when we got here. Cars were hesitant to drive through, and the water was covering the license plates on pickup trucks as they drove into high flooded areas. We're told by residents that some have or had at one time as much as knee-deep water inside their homes. We spoke to one man who came to pick up his mother after she was rescued by local authorities.
She's safe. She's at my aunt's house. They did a pretty good job of rescuing them. Most of the tenants or whatever from this area, from this subdivision, but she's safe for now. But we just want to know what's going to happen next.
We know Rio Grande City Police was here assisting, but we're still waiting to hear from the Sheriff's Department on how many people were exactly rescued. In Rio Grande City, John Paul Barajas, Channel 5 News at noon.
Good morning, Gabby. Yes, well, they are discovered throughout the RGV. Now, Border Patrol tells me discovering these stash houses is nothing new. They've seen this in the past. They've seen them every month. Now, what's different or interesting is that they are now seeing larger groups of immigrants inside these stash houses.
The conditions that the people are in, it's very bad. They're very crowded, very little food or water inside the houses. Sleeping conditions are very terrible.
Real stash houses don't always look like they do in movies, but they will be hidden or away from busy areas.
I haven't been out here in a while. A stash house is a place where many times illegal immigrants are held. It could also be used for drugs, but many times the majority is going to be humans.
Humans who at times are extorted for money for weeks.
They take advantage of these people financially because a lot of times they think that they're going to be able to go from, say, A to B but a lot of times they don't make it to beat because a lot of times they're held for extra money.
The most recent discovery and arrest of more than 40 illegal immigrants and 2 stash houses just a few days ago. The first discovery in La Grulla, Starr County, agents encountering 16 people. The second discovery, agents working with HSI and the Hidalgo County Sheriff's Office shut down a stash house operation in Donna. Agents there discovered 26 illegal immigrants. Border Patrol processed the subjects and areas accordingly.
What we've noticed recently is that some of these stash houses are containing a large amount of people. It could be anywhere between 40, 60, 40, 50, 60, so which is very concerning to us because just with the COVID COVID-19, it's something that we want to try to prevent the contamination of the people that are in there, and also we want to prevent the mistreatment of these people.
Now, many of these stash houses come in different shapes and forms. Take, for example, this abandoned structure with no doors, no roof, no windows. And again, these stashes can be found across the valley in the middle of nowhere.
So usually what happens is, agents make sure that the areas are secured. A lot of times they perform a perimeter just to make sure nobody leaves. Also, they make sure that there are no injuries to the people, that everybody's healthy. They also issue out personal protection equipment.
Every case is treated individually. Some may be taken to a detention facility, dropped off at a port of entry, or given medical attention, depending on the situation. We did ask about the total number of stash houses and human discoveries in the last fiscal year. KRGV sector says they discovered 146 stash houses. There were over 1,000 illegal immigrants taken into custody due to those discoveries. Now, Border Patrol Agent Rivera adds, if you notice or spot what you may think is suspicious activity or a stash house, you are asked to report this to 911. Live at the Ansalduas Port of Entry, Yuri Gonzalez, Channel 5 News this morning. Multiple law enforcement agencies responding to Donna this morning in what was a combined task force investigation. It all happened around 8 a.m. on Ridley Road and FM 493 south of Business 83. Alamo Police, the DEA, and ATF executing multiple warrants in a narcotic investigation. Alamo Police Chief Richard Osuna tells us one woman was taken in for questioning. He also says weapons and narcotics were found at the scene. FBI, BORTAC, Hidalgo County Sheriff deputies, DEA, and K-9 agents also on site and assisting in this operation. We will continue to follow this story and keep you updated as more information is made available. In McAllen, Yuri Gonzalez, Channel 5 News at noon.
We're working to get more information on an incident out of Weslaco.
That's right. It happened overnight at Senior Mustachio around 1 a.m. You can see several Hidalgo County Sheriff's deputies at the scene and Weslaco Police. Now, our crews did see one person get taken into custody. Details are very limited right now. We reached out to Weslaco Police. Police say they did respond to shots fired. We'll continue tracking this story throughout the morning and let you know of any new details.